Hello and welcome to another, let me make sure I've got sound here. Yes. Welcome to another week of the Abuse Cartoons live stream. So we're here again on a, I guess it would be a Monday night in North America, but I missed out on the Sunday night because I thought everyone might be occupied. But anyhow, this is the less controversial night to be streaming. So yeah, it's actually Tuesday here in Japan, but I am back at the tablet doing some more cartoons. So oh boy, maybe not. Let's see here. The computer's a little slow. All right, well, we're just gonna have to get used to this. Okay, so I think we're good. All right. Wow, so nothing particularly pressing. I kind of have given up talking about creative topics while I'm drawing. I think I tapped myself out of everything I had to say after doing that for a year. And yeah, I don't know if it was particularly that interesting. So just, yeah, just kind of whatever comes to mind instead of following the creative theme of what you should or shouldn't be doing. Because at this point, who even knows? But let's see. So I found, I don't think I talked about this before, but I found something funny for the convenience store part. And funny as in it's everywhere and you see it all the time, and it's strangely familiar. Like I when I first saw that here, I was certain, and I'll explain more when I actually tell you what it is, but I was sure that I had seen it before. They did some kind of crazy voodoo with the design of the package that makes it look like something you've seen before. And it looked very, very familiar and very, very old. It's very dated looking, but the package has been the same since the 80s. So I'll show you more about that later. And I don't know what I'm doing here. But yeah, I have a very strange feeling looking at that package that I'd seen it before, but I don't think so. I don't think it existed outside of Japan. Or maybe it has. Maybe it was something that was actually brought here, like Mr. Donut and Tower Records, and now it only lives here because it went away in America or Europe or wherever it originally came from. But I couldn't find anything about its origin. Yeah, we'll talk more about that later. But anyhow, yeah, so actually, yeah, so the weather's been warmer, so I haven't been inspired to do anything very winter-based as far as cartoons, but I'm sure it's going to get miserable again. There we go. Oh. It looks like a knight's helmet. Got a chance over the weekend to play a little kill team. That was nice. A friend of mine that purchased one of those kind of faction boxes, but hadn't got a chance to play, stopped by, and that was nice. It's a funny thing that they did. If you buy, a lot of people already had enough of the older models that they could actually play the game with just some of the older kind of extra things that they had lying around. But as an incentive to buy those same models again, or maybe buy models that you didn't have, they included cards which have abilities in the game that you do not have access to if you don't. I mean, I guess if you found them online somewhere, but you don't have access to if you don't have those cards. So that's very funny. That seems to be a popular thing to do, is somehow give value to rules or cards or little things like X-Wing. The X-Wing miniature game kind of did that trick where they included neutral cards that you could use with in other situations, but you had to buy a very expensive piece of plastic if you wanted that card. I don't know about that business model. It's a little bit like the razor blade business model. But all right, well, there's a something that kind of looks like a stocking cap. And a scarf. So I'm going to keep an eye on a closer eye on the chat. All right, there we go. Wow, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so I have to, pay a little bit more attention, because there's patrons and people that if they show up when I'm streaming, I definitely want to thank them and show some gratitude. But let's see here. I don't know what this is. That was supposed to be a scarf, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen that way. Talking and drawing is always fun. So maybe here. All right. Nope. Let's try that again. I know I've drawn this exact same thing before. Or maybe mittens. But yeah, I don't have anything. Didn't really watch the big game yesterday. Just kind of followed it a little bit on with the Twitter updates and things. And it doesn't sound like I missed a lot. Plus the timing of it here is it starts at like 8 a.m. in the morning, so it's not a very convenient time. But didn't sound like I missed much, except for all that controversy about whatever. It's interesting that media companies and yeah, just corporations in general are really kowtowing to people complaining on social media and things. And I was trying to figure out what, I don't know, what the motivation is, or what the yeah, just what the benefit to them is. And it's very strange, because it used to be that, you know, people were in a much more manageable, understandable block of their demographics were a lot more easier to understand, and I think they were based on certain assumptions. And now it's almost like they want to fragment those kind of consumer groups into as many, you know, miserable pieces as possible. And it doesn't make any sense. That just seems like a really strange approach, doing things that are going to alienate people. But then I don't know. It's like there's going to have to be an alternative for an alternative for an alternative for everything now, just because something is always making somebody angry, and it just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. And you know, and it may not actually be. It just may be these corporations kind of rolling with the punches and trying to figure out, because you know, social media is such great data for them, that maybe they don't want to give up on it. They want to see if they can take advantage of it, and it looks like they're just not able to do anything but fracture their customer bases. It's really strange. And I forget where I was reading this, but a really depressing thing talking about, you know, because I kind of consider myself moderate politically, and I'm not going to talk about politics, but talking about just being kind of, you know, not firmly decided based on any group identification or allegiance, you know, anything very politically. But I read someone that was talking about how those are the true enemies, and how, you know, people on the more extreme left or right should see all of those people that are, I guess, centrist. I don't know if that's an appropriate term, but, you know, people that are kind of in the middle, that have that are kind of undecided, or kind of have a middle, you know, moderate, or, you know, kind of in between view, that those are the true enemies. Because anybody that would negotiate, anybody whose motivation would be to look for cooperation between the left and the right, is only serving this moneyed elite and should be destroyed. You know, they are the true evil. So that was the most depressing, frustrating thing I had ever read. It's like, I really hope there aren't people thinking that way, that a reasonable voice, someone that can see both sides, is actually the biggest problem, because unless you're with us, you're against us. And that was something that what started with, I think Bush said that during the Iraq War, that whole idea, that post 9/11, if you're not with us, you're against us kind of idea. I guess when he was trying to get nations to commit troops or whatever to Afghanistan, that was going to be their motivation. But yeah, so depressing. So I just, okay, I'm not going to go too far into anything, but it just seems ridiculous that you know, the only the extreme of either side is considering themselves valid. You cannot be a reasonable person in this day and age, and that how, you know, you go on to social media to actually get news and information, and then you just go onto a news channel to get validation of your political beliefs or your position. Or yeah, it's very odd. Things have become very strange in that way, but there's no point in going on about that, because I do not have a very marketable view. I mean, I'm not serving either side, so I don't think talking about it is going to do me any good. But it seems like people that were raised to be reasonable are the true enemy. They're not on anyone's side. But I've actually heard that about, what did I hear about shoplifting? Is it shoplifting? Yeah, that the people that the real damage, the financial damage to stores, is not the people that professionally shoplift or would always, steal, and not the people that never steal. So like those two type of like employees that a retail store could have. That it's actually not either of those groups. It's everybody in the middle that considers themselves good and law abiding, but sometimes they may take advantage of a situation. That those are the people that are truly damaging, financially to retail. I forget where I read that, but I thought that was very funny, because it always is, and video games seem to always love to reinforce that idea. Unless you always, if you've got a morality system or something in a game, unless you're always good or always bad, you're punished. If you're somewhere in the middle, you're always going to be punished for not being truly evil or truly good. What am I doing? I keep doing this strange scarf thing. But yeah, that is always amusing. That doesn't even look... I don't know why I can't get this into my head, like how a scarf would look kind of piled up. It's very strange. But... so I hope your week started out okay. I apologize for not being there on Sunday night, but I think most people were occupied. Let's see here. At least a lot of people in the U.S. All right. So that's why I have to build a fan base outside of the U.S. so I don't have to conform or avoid all of those busy times. So I'm sure there were plenty of people outside of the U.S. that had looking for things to do. I think they said, I think it was, that's better. It was Netflix that said their viewership Sunday was down like 32% below normal. So it's that many people that would have been watching Netflix that are instead watching football. Yeah, that's funny. And now all that stuff can be measured so easily, so exactly. That's a very odd, suspicious thing. I guess it's a public company, so they do have to be careful, but nobody has numbers. Nobody knows exactly what streaming is doing, but they do know. They have very, very exact numbers about what is popular, what is not, and all that good stuff. And they don't share that at all because, yeah, I don't know. I guess because people would speculate. I mean, I guess it could affect their stock prices and their shareholders. Oh, sorry. Attitudes if you had people that didn't really know what they were analyzing, looking at those numbers and saying, this doesn't appear to be a profitable business. And yeah, so maybe that's the reason. But one of these days, the internet is just going to have to start coughing up some real numbers so we know how people are doing. Because if you have a YouTube channel or anything, or I know exactly how many people are watching at any one time. Hey, I have a relative online. That's funny. My timing must have been good. So how's it going there on a Monday night? So this is what I do. This is what I do all the way from Japan. I talk to myself on Twitch. Yeah. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just numbers. So they have a lot of numbers, and of course, that's what a lot of the companies are buying and selling and trading. They're trading all of the exact information about how many seconds your mouse lingers over a banner ad and all that good stuff. They know that kind of stuff, and they trade in that. That's what is making money now. But they aren't going to be very open. I guess when you have those like new and old economies kind of overlapping, there's a lot of things that aren't going to be very compatible, so they're keeping that to themselves. But so like I was saying, if you're doing anything online, you have really exact numbers, and especially if you're got statistics or something running on your server or Google Analytics or whatever, you know a lot about what's happening and how what you're doing is interacting with the world. And it's very funny that they haven't created something that, consumers can look at, or, investors can look at, as far as how certain things go. They just say things are very popular. This is our most popular show, like Netflix or whatever. We'll talk about their most popular show, and how do you even quantify that? And I mean, I don't know. I'm not impressed with all of that, silence and and people that are even, the people that even make those shows, or things like satellite radio or and that's not even a very new technology. That's, been around for a while now, but people have no idea that are even on those platforms what those platforms are capable of. And I guess they're just keeping them quiet, so they would just quietly, head out of town once those things start failing. I don't know. It's very, very mysterious. But yeah, so that's all I was thinking about. Yeah, because and I think, television had ratings, but I don't think they were particularly accurate. I mean, they weren't to that, per eyeball that you have on the internet. So it's very funny that they're not moving to be very open about that. But then again, that might be, kind of restrictive to their growth, or kind of, what their ultimate revenue models may be. But yeah, like hearing the one of the Twitter founders talking on a podcast, it's just ridiculous. It's so strange how delusional all of these people that, I mean, basically, smartphones and social media and all of this stuff are just new types of, weird feedback loops that, weird, what are those Skinner boxes, weird little things where people are just, tap, 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 tap for, some sort of gratification, or some sort of, little endorphin drip or whatever in their brains. And they will not be honest about the fact that, likes and retweets or favoriting or following or whatever is feeding into all that, all of those, the worst parts of the human brain, and the worst kind of compulsive, addictive behaviors that people have. And they have no responsibility. They see no culpability or that, blame in anything that they're doing. And I think I've said this before. I think I've complained about this all the time. But the interview with Steve Jobs when the iPad first came out, and they said, "Oh, your kids must love this, and you must have, they must love having these. They could have these before anybody else. They must really like that you've, come up with such an amazing device like an iPad." And it's like, there's no way I would ever have anything like this in my house. These are not healthy for kids. They're healthy for your kids. They're just not healthy for my kids. So the creators of this stuff, I mean, they know they're making heroin and crack and, in digital interactive forms, and they are only talking about it in terms of, bringing people together and making the world a more connected place. And it's just nauseating. I don't think, I mean, maybe big tobacco was, you could only maybe compare that kind of evil with the, athletes and celebrities, yeah, it calms me down after a meal. There's nothing better than a Chesterfield, that kind of, sinister nonsense. We're talking about the health benefits of smoking. I mean, we really do have to, wise up and see this stuff in those terms, and then start to, control our behavior. I think now, because a lot of this stuff is so new and people are so immersed, and there's money to be made, and as ad models and stuff start working better, people are really starting to they are just overindulging themselves. But eventually people are going to have to find the moderation or the way to control themselves with these things, because yeah, it's just with the looking on message boards for role-playing games. I mean, a role-playing game is a very social thing, and you sit around a table, or you sit around Skype, but you sit around as a group and you tell a story together, and you have people asking for advice. How do I keep my players off of their smartphones, during the game? And, they're not looking, I guess, looking up rules, or, as you would be searching through the player's handbook or whatever. I guess that's you know, that makes sense in that context. But I'm sure people are just checking their Twitter and just like, you know, want to be on there getting their social media, you know, kind of validation, or just telling people, guess what I'm doing right now, and we're doing this, and I'm doing this, and yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing, and all of the people that developed this stuff, and that was the interesting thing about Twitter, is they didn't create anything. They didn't do anything. They just kind of, you know, scooped their hands around what was, how people wanted to communicate what they were already doing and say, this is Twitter. That's amazing that they didn't really, like the hashtag, the retweet, the @ sign, they didn't develop any of that. That was nothing that it was, you know, was an original thought. That was something that came out of that company. It was just like, here's how people are using this, and here's how, you know, so you just kind of like scoop that up and say, this is what we have now. Thank you for developing. That would be like, you know, if you, I can't think of a good equivalent. Where I guess if you use the role-playing game model, if you just had someone listening to someone play a role-playing session, or writing it up as a screenplay and sold it as a screenplay when it was other people telling a story. Yeah, it's amazing. Really amazing. Okay. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. I hope my cousin isn't a Star Trek Discovery fan. Oh no. Yeah, we had to give up. We had to give up the podcast that we were working on. We really tried to get through the first season of Star Trek Discovery, and yeah, it was brutal. But yeah, that's funny. It's great. I love the original, you know, first run, the original series of Star Trek, and the updated version where they replaced all the ship flybys and everything, or that still pretty dated looking CG. Like they cleaned it all up and it's all high res, and you can just see the, you know, especially because it's the 60s, the makeup caked on people's faces. Like 4K doesn't do any good to any of that old television. It's great to see it like that, but it's amazing like how thick the makeup is, how bright the lights are, how much hairspray is in everybody's hair, and you couldn't really see that before on an old style television. But yeah, funny stuff. But yeah, it was funny because I was when we reviewed the Last Jedi, Star Wars Last Jedi, I was very, you know, disgusted and frustrated with that movie. But when we were talking about Star Trek Discovery, so many Trekkers were messaging us with that same like outrage and frustration. And because I'm not such a, you know, deep fan, I couldn't appreciate that. But it's the same sort of violation. I mean, when people try to update stuff, you know, with a new sensibility and a new context, they're basically, you know, killing what it was. And that's hard. It just makes you feel old and dumb and not very not very I don't know, just out of date, out of step, those kind of aesthetics. But it's crazy. So I don't know if I'll ever make it back into into Star Trek Discovery. And actually the thing I heard about that show that was really depressing is the first season, they basically paid for the production of that first season, which had some really expensive, you know, CG and stuff in a couple of episodes. And they basically bankrolled that through Netflix. And when it didn't perform, you know, like Netflix assumed that it would, when it came to them for the second season, they're like, no. And so I think the money and everything changed. And I think that's why the kind of showrunners and things kind of came and go. Writers came and went between those two seasons because they're kind of scrambling to figure out how they're going to finance the second season. And they put it behind that paywall in America. I can't even imagine. I would not have had any knowledge of Discovery if I was in the US and it was behind that paywall, because outside of the US it's Netflix. It's like international Netflix. So, you know, you get a weekly episode, but oof, other than that. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, the next generation. I have not watched. I have not watched a lot of TNG. When we did our Star Trek Adventures RPG review, I watched the pilot episode of every single series because I hadn't watched. I hadn't watched Deep Space Nine. I hadn't watched. Total Voyager. I hadn't watched Voyager, so I watched the pilot episode because I think they were all on Amazon. Or yeah, I think it was all Amazon. I watched a pilot episode of all of them, and then when we came to the review and we were talking about the show, the real fans were telling me, yeah, the pilot episode, there's no indication of what that show was like or the quality because it takes them so far beyond. It's like a season in before they actually kind of hit their rhythm, and I guess the writing and everything gets good, and there's good episodes. So it was not a good approach, but I was really amused by how they would when they tried to link the shows together. So the pilot episode would usually include a cast member from the previous series. And even Next Generation had McCoy, I can't think of the actor's name, but Dr. McCoy was on the first episode of the Next Generation to kind of, give it validity, to kind of, make it, this is part of what you like. And so they connect them. And I think first the pilot of Deep Space Nine, Patrick Stewart, so I don't remember his character's name, but Patrick Stewart was on the first episode of Deep Space Nine, so they do that to kind of connect. So people that were fans of the previous show, it's like it's still Star Trek. Come on, go with us, guys. And I think that's very funny because most of my experience with anything except the original series is just random episodes, and not knowing what's going on. It's really hard to just like jump in the middle of like season 4, episode 2, and like have any idea about what I'm watching or how things are connected. So it takes a little. It's a little too much, a little too much to get into. But yeah, that's funny. And so that the Next Generation is the default setting for the Star Trek role-playing game that we reviewed just recently. That's the default, and kind of even the layout of the book. It has that same design as all of the like the ship's displays and monitors and everything. That kind of orange and purple curvilinear kind of stuff. They do all of that for the design of the book, which makes a nice looking book and makes a even a good looking PDF, but oof, hard to print. You don't want to have to print, so they actually have to do a printer friendly version that's not a black background. Okay, I think I'm going to do what this is. I think I'm going to do some snow. So here's a snow theme. Yeah, I guess something like that. I'll have to think about what's going on there, and I might want to lose that hat because I think that's the thing I'm the least happy with. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so already I'm way off of my rhythm here. Just being off by a day, I cannot talk and draw at the same time. Anyhow, maybe this is the wrong size. Whoa. Okay. Oh, that's right. I don't think that's the thing. Yeah, there we go. That'll work. The thing I'm frustrated with is it used to be when I would do the stream that Facebook was a great place to send out the notification because a lot of people that I'm connected with and a lot of people that like I know professionally or whatever, like cartooning stuff, would get notified that that I'm live and streaming. And now Facebook is another complaint about social media, but Facebook just crushes your posts down to their algorithm is just bizarre. It just chokes people down. So I get these notifications like 10 people reached with this post. Would you like to pay us to boost that? So it's like they've choked the connectivity of the network and they want you to pay to open it up, to open it back up. So you're basically, they're asking you, well, don't you want to advertise to your, people that are following you? And for most people, that's friends and family. I mean, not everyone is running a Facebook page that is promoting a business. So yeah, I don't know, because I'm just posting this stuff to my regular account, and they're not letting anybody see it. So yeah, because when I first started streaming, that was a great way, to get notifications out, and the audience picked up, quickly from that, and Facebook has started whatever. I guess they're just trying to, wring everything they can out of their advertising model there. But as it's kind of losing popularity, I don't know. Their demographics must all be baby boomers now, because I think it's only grandparents that are very seriously on Facebook anymore. That was erase. Why are we not erasing? There we go. Yeah, sorry. Things look a little choked up memory-wise today. But yeah, so their demographic has really shifted, because it took off, like Facebook, because of the kind of foreign appeal. It picked up right away. Like once there was a Japanese version of Facebook, it picked up right away, and then just stalled, and nobody uses. I don't think it's really popular, very popular in Asia. And I think one of the reasons is they didn't quite decide how they were going to, like, displaying names. So the funny thing about Japanese is, like if your name is Bob Smith, maybe there's thousands of people with your same name in English-speaking countries. But in Japan, there are so many people with the exact same name if you used Roman characters to write it, and but their names are not are written with Chinese characters, so they're written in kanji. So everybody that has a lot of people that have the same name, it has different kanji, so that's unique to the person and is more identifying. But Facebook seemed to be encouraging early on everyone to just write their name with Roman characters, and because I guess it was predominantly in English, it had foreign appeal and was English based. A lot of people did that, so you have literally thousands of people to say you can't find anybody. And if they don't put the kanji on their page, it's completely useless for finding anybody. So I think very quickly people were like, I don't think this is working how I want it to work. And it's also very I think the frustration that a lot of Americans kind of ignored that the Japanese didn't was that they don't want to say. I mean, they have very different styles of communicating between their friends and family and just online friends or whatever. And Facebook, that gets all mixed up, and everybody can see everything unless you're really meticulous about it. So I don't think they like that kind of invasion of privacy that, if you're posting funny things that you're doing with your friends and then everybody's watching it and criticizing it. Kind of the same, I don't know if it's still happening, but the way that people are looking at Facebook, you interview for a job and they're like, what's your Facebook, ID? So people want to look at your Facebook to kind of see who you are. I think that's very unappealing for Japanese. And it's something that for some reason we tolerated in America, as people like asking you to see your social media. But at the same point, and along those same lines, it's very funny that in Japan, a job application will have a photo. So you have to take kind of a passport photo, and that's usually attached to a resume in Japan. So people are deciding if they will hire you based on your looks in a lot of ways. So that's very different from from thinking in the US. So the same way that they didn't tolerate what Facebook was doing, they also have some very odd things in the culture that has people giving away maybe more than they want to their potential employers. What a mess here. All right, well, All right, now I'm just drawing wonky looking boxes here. Let's see. All right, let's fix that a little bit. There we go. Yeah, actually, if I can get, if it's not going to thicken the line too much, yeah, get the proportions so it looks more cereal box to Pop-Tart. That might work. Let's see if I can draw a Pop-Tart. I don't think I've seen a Pop-Tart in about 5 years, so let's see. Yeah, that's the thing. And I don't know if it's actually the recipes are changing and we're just not, you know, they just kind of use cheaper ingredients or whatever. But I'm noticing that if I spend years away from, you know, certain American snacks that I have some like nostalgia or, you know, memory of, and when I go back to the US and try those again, it's just like, oh, this is not what I remember. So I guess it's a combination. It could be like three things. It's misremembering kind of what things are, getting older and my palate is changing and probably can't even taste things very well anymore. And also that they're changing the recipes, you know, to use cheaper ingredients to make more money. But yeah, that's a weird thing. It's always disappointing, or like, I don't remember this tasting like this. Yeah, very funny. It's always, yeah, kind of a letdown because you have those, oh, I'd really like to have one of these again or try one of those again. And yeah, it's never the same. You can't go back. All right, so that is a Pop-Tart. Sure, we'll call that a Pop-Tart. And let's do some, whoa, do some cereal. Okay. Going with the old breakfast standards here. Okay. Yeah, I don't even know. Must be some things that don't even exist anymore. I have to move some of this stuff around. I think we'll put these closer. And these guys. Yeah, maybe. Put this on another layer. Okay. All right. Oh, that's great. Oh, what's going on here? I've got something popped up. Okay, there we go. Yeah, sorry. There we go. All right. Well, maybe Facebook has decided to be nicer to me again. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. There we go. Yeah, what was the thing? Oh, yeah, that YouTube did that too, where they won't auto-post anymore. Like when you go live or when you post something, you used to be able to just say, okay, tell everybody on all of this social media. And they stopped doing that. But I think WordPress is still okay. You can still, most everything that is built into their automation or Jetpack or whatever will still do that. Okay, there's some breakfast. There's breakfast and there's outdoor. I think we need some more snow or something. Here, there seems like I'm missing something. Something like that. Yeah, that was in that, especially the first year of doing the live streaming. That was the thing that was so hard to figure out and kind of make work, is the timing, you know, for doing this kind of international streaming, because I'm you know, going to be speaking English the whole time, so I'm definitely want to be talking to an English speaking audience and whoa, and finding out like a real sweet spot, because it seems like a lot of things pop up at like 6 p.m. when I see people going live streaming, and I check like what the local time is. It's like between 6 and 8. And I guess, you know, because the U.S. has such a spread of time zones, I don't want to do that. Yeah, it might be that kind of thing, but it's very tricky to, because that's pretty key to having people finding you, as being on at a convenient time. But I guess in the same way, though, you don't want to be on at too popular a time, because then you're going to get eclipsed by, you know, a lot of more popular things. Yeah, it's very funny. It's just like optimizing for a search engine. You don't want to go for the most obvious thing, because there's going to be a lot bigger competition. Okay, I think that works. Oh, writing these is going to be a challenge, because these are very loose concepts at this point. But let's put some color on these. Let's watch Twitch. There we go. All right. A little bit slow, a little bit slow. Color picker, there we go. All right. No, I think I need to go with a less printable, more appealing on the screen kind of color. Yeah, something like that. And I think mostly that weird off-white. I think I'll do I don't think this is accurate, but I'll do a cardboard color inside, or maybe it is. It's been too long. Just for some contrast in here as well. Not like that. Yeah, that works. All right. Yeah, I've watched a few other people streaming, and it's kind of weird, because you'll click on somebody's channel, somebody's live stream, and especially for the creative ones when people are drawing, I guess because talking and drawing sucks, and it definitely affects your drawing, but I'm proof of that. But yeah, people are just kind of sitting there silently waiting for somebody to interact with. So that feels weird. That feels, I don't know what that reminds me of, but that just feels strange. People just sitting there waiting for someone to bother them. So I talk through the whole thing, and that's why I guess I archive it, because I'm just babbling the whole time. But that's yeah, that's a funny difference. Blue, are there blue tricks? Sure, there are now. I don't think there are. Weird. Find some orange. Yeah, I think I'm doing gumball colors. That's funny. All right, yeah, we'll do red again. All right, and let's do those little bands across the packaging. Yeah, I guess we can do a little more red. But yeah, there we go. All right, and yellow or orange, or how about orangey yellow? Here we go. That's a little bit weird, huh? Yeah, it's not, and the angle's bad. I think I'll do more orange so there's a better contrast. Okay. There we go. Something like that. And then maybe a yellow graphic. So now I'm not even talking. So what's happening here? Yeah, just do something. like this. And maybe a Pop-Tart graphic as well. And then these I can kind of pull them back a little bit so they look more like they're on there. So that was just opacity. And maybe some writing on the side of the box. All that great nutritional information. Now let's go, well, yeah, I guess we can go with the blue too. There we go. And the name of the cereal. Oh yeah, I wish I could just sneak that in there. Maybe not. I don't think I'll do that either. Huh. Actually, let's change the color. Something a little... Okay, that'll work. And then we need to put some kind of frosting on that Pop-Tart. And I'm going with classic strawberry. Oh, wait. Strawberry isn't... Oh, no, it is. Okay, that's right. It's got the, this kind of deal, right? Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I remember it looking like, so we'll go with that. Okay. And maybe turn these off, make it easier. Yeah, I realized when I was recording the unboxing videos, that would actually be green, wouldn't it? Or maybe white. Yeah, the underside. That would make this white too. I'll go green. Green. When I was recording those unboxing videos, that I said "so" a lot. so. There's always something. There's always some verbal crutch you get stuck on, and mine keeps changing. When we were first doing the podcast, it was interesting. Everything was interesting. And I got over that, but now I noticed I'm saying so all the time. Yeah, I think this works. That's, yeah, you don't pay attention. I guess it's the combination of the stress and, not really paying attention to what you say because you're not recording it. And then as soon as you start recording it, you realize how every time you don't have something to say, you just hit that crutch again and are just repeating yourself. There we go. And just a little drop shadow to kind of put them on the ground here. Whoops. Same with this guy. There we go. And the Pop-Tart. I think maybe I need some highlights to make the boxes a little shinier. Okay, let's see how that works. Not so good. That one looks better. I think I'm gonna have to just do white. Yeah, just do white on the actual more cereal box looking guy. Yeah, that works. Okay. There's no way I can put eyes on these tiny little guys. Oh, plus they probably need shadows as well. There we go. Okay, and now the eyes. I really have no idea where this is going. A little bit smaller. His eyes look like frost. Okay, and maybe something on the box that looks like, where is that? Here? Here. That looks like the frosting on top. All right. Oh, and maybe here too. There we go. Sorry. Hit the corners. Okay. Well, those guys are colored. Oh, that's right. I forgot what else. What else I had drawn. Okay, so let's do this layer. Let me double check. All right, there we go. So do some. Wow, the color pick is really slow. This whole machine has been really bogged down lately. It's not a memory thing, so maybe it's an update thing. Yeah, so we'll do this and this. Some kind of more natural. Does that just look dirty? I guess it looks okay. A little fleecy color. Oh, I didn't do the little pieces of snow. All right. So let's fill this in. So almost time for some convenience store goodness. Is that in there? No. No? Yeah, kind of. All right. Oh, that'll work. And then let's try just doing shadows from here and see how much actual texture I need to do. There we go. There we go. Well, I'm glad sounds like Facebook is finally being nicer to me in my posting. So when I'm doing this, people actually know that it's going on. And it's got to be timing too. I don't know. I haven't played enough around with what Facebook likes and doesn't like to really know what they're doing. And it's funny because, you know, when you're doing trial and error stuff, unless you, well, have some very reliable results, you get kind of paranoid about, oh, they're doing this and they must be doing this because you can't really tell what is causing this. Do I want to do that? Sure. Kind of a woven thing. Woven little mittens. There we go. And yeah, maybe like this. Those look like oven mitts more than mittens, but oh well. All right. There we are. Okay, that went easier. Put some light. There we go. Yeah, is that a little more contrasty? Maybe here. Yeah. All right. And then do some of this. There we go. Yeah, so since I'm not teaching younger students anymore, I have no idea what social networks, probably Instagram, that Japanese students are into right now. My guess would be Instagram. I think that's the thing I see people scrolling through the most on trains. That's funny. And I guess that's a good move for Facebook to have bought Instagram, because everybody that they lost, they still have. They have retained. All right, and now some eyes. Where? Maybe here. Where do you put eyes on a scarf? That's gonna be lost. Maybe higher. No. Okay, that'll have to work. Okay, so we have a pair of mittens and a scarf and a snowball and some breakfast food. All right, so all that's left is to write things. So let's do a quick convenience store segment. So I'll switch over, and hopefully the sound and everything will work when we're over there. But and I'm going to try to show you an image. I think I still have it. Yes, I'll try to show you an image while I'm talking about this. So we'll see if that actually works. Okay, so convenience store segment. Okay, so here we are. And so I think I've done maybe the jelly version of this before, but this product is mostly in convenience stores. You get it at grocery stores too, because you need to have rapid access to it, or at least like stockpile it. But it is Calorie Mate, right? So this looks so eerily familiar, and it really bothers me. I think that maybe this existed in the US like in the 70s or 80s, and it was brought over here, but there's no record of that. Like, I don't find anybody talking about that. But this box looks so familiar. This weird out-of-date logo. It has that all of the diet supplements and things in the like 70s and 80s, and I guess even the 60s. This almost has a 60s look. It has this bizarre shape. So this is like a meal replacement, kind of, what do they call it? A dietary, is a nutritionally balanced source of energy needed for daily activities. People on the go, what do they call it? A balanced food. It's like a meal replacement. So like Slim Fast. So, I guess America moved to milkshakes, right? But a milkshake, nobody's got a blender, or it's not very convenient. A milkshake isn't a convenient thing. And there's not even like a huge amount of juice bars, or Jamba Juice never came to Japan. So smoothies and shakes aren't really a thing here. So you've got block food, and I believe they do have the can food. You kind of like that. Remember the Slim Fast cans, which are probably plastic bottles now, but the can of that liquid. Yeah. But anyhow, it's just a meal replacement. So something to fill you up and give you, calories and I guess some kind of nutrition, so that you don't, so you take a break, a minimal break, and still feed yourself. So you eat this at your desk, basically. And so what this is, although you'll probably not ever be able to tell from just looking at this package. If you see this in a store, you have no idea what exactly this is. But this is like a, it's a cookie, kind of a shortbread kind of thing. And so the original version of this, the one that first came to Japan in the 80s, was cheese flavored. I don't think I've ever had the cheese flavor, and I can't imagine what that even tastes like. But here, inside this box was this, right? And so what's inside this? This is one serving of like one meal, what, 80 grams or whatever. So this is like 400 calories of this. So it's just a block, and it's kind of, it has the consistency of a shortbread, but of course isn't greasy. It's very dry. It's not oily like a shortbread would be, because there's no probably animal fat in it. It's a very dry. Oh, and this flavor is supposed to be chocolate, which you can't tell. The color combination tells you, but they have it written in katakana on the back. So the weird thing about it is it's all in English. This entire thing is in English, but of course then on the sides and back you have the katakana. So that's very foreign things, you know, written only in katakana. So you have the flavor, or the name and the flavor written in Japanese. In the back, all the nutrition is duplicated on the back. But there's something weirdly foreign, and this must have been a thing in the US, although I can't remember. But it just looks like something that haunts me from my childhood. But when I saw this here, this is supposed to be chocolate. It's vaguely chocolate, and it's really really chalky, kind of dry biscuit. But I'm having 200 calories right now. And all the nutrition for my busy day. But when I first saw this seemed like something that was so out of date that they just kept on the shelves, maybe because old women just kept buying it or something. But no, it's not. It's actually something that they're still actively marketing in Japan. And, you know, for busy people, because there's office workers and, you know, salarymen, office ladies, and then, of course, students that are insanely busy and don't even have time to grab something from the convenience store. So if they can keep something in their bag that's, you know, like astronaut food that's all sealed up and dry, this is really like space food, then I guess that, you know, makes you that much more efficient. But this is a really unsatisfying meal. Ugh, I guess it's no worse than a milkshake, but the alternative to this, which I believe I might have brought previously, like last year, was the jelly version. So kind of the konnyaku jelly, so like a fibery plant, like maybe like a radish that they make into a jelly, and that actually fills your stomach up. You actually feel like you ate something. But whatever chemicals they put in Calorie Mate, they put that in a jelly as well that you can just kind of suck out of a pouch, and that's even more astronaut food like. But I want to show you this. Oh wait, no, there's no way I can show you this, is there? Darn. Yeah, I don't have that camera, so I will show you this. When I switch back to the other view, I can show you this. So there's going to be a little crossover here. We're going to go from the convenience store segment into the drawing again, but I'm going to show you some Calorie Mate art real quick. But a really finely, yeah, it's a strange consistency, very chalky, and almost no flavor. But I guess if, you know, this or nothing, this would be a little more satisfying than nothing. But the flavor, so in the 80s, like 83, the cheese flavor first made it. Then in 84, a fruit flavor made it. Then it wasn't until the 90s that we had chocolate, which is the most palatable one, I think. Maple in 2009, and plain. I don't even, this has so little flavor, I can't even imagine what plain tastes like. It can't even be more plain than that. But 2014. And the jelly comes in apple, fruity milk, lime, and grapefruit. Oh, man. And the can flavor, so kind of like the milkshake version in a can, comes in corn soup flavor, cafe au lait, coffee, and cocoa, which make all a little more sense. But I'm sure because of all that vitamins and supplement stuff in there, the taste is a little odd. So this mysterious thing, this strange package, you always see this. Every convenience store will have a little section of this. And they also have like Soy Joy is another like kind of a more granola bar kind of meal replacement. But there's not, and there's a lot of weird dietary supplements here, but there's no like Slim Fast or any of that other, you know, weird relics from the 80s that made it over here. But there's something really disturbingly familiar about this. I don't know why this looks so familiar. But they also... So this has been in like video games. I think like Snake and Metal Gear Solid like ate this, or this is like one of the things you can pick up, one of the items in the game. But they did a really funny campaign. The TV series 24 was very popular. The Fox drama was really popular in Japan. And because the whole idea is it's shot in real time, so everyone's just constantly running and driving and everything as fast as they can. Of course, you never see them use the toilet or eat in that show because it's supposed to be happening in real time. So the whole gimmick was Jack Bauer was running around with some little Japanese guy, and I forget the name, but so they created some little Japanese character that's, you know, included in Jack Bauer's adventures, and he's always suggesting that they pick up Calorie Mate because there's no time to do anything, there's no time. Well, that's what Calorie Mate is for, when you have no time. But anyhow, so the thing that they're really pushing, and I don't want to play the video on the stream because I don't know if it's going to get a copyright strike or whatever, so I won't play the actual TV commercial. But I would recommend you look at the TV commercial after I show you this image because it's crazy. So let me switch back to the other view and then show you this crazy image. Okay, so we're still in the convenience store segment, I promise you. Okay, so this image, I took this photo on the way here today. There's a huge train, and so this is like a, you know, 10-foot by 10-foot poster at the train station of this giant, and you can see down here, Calorie Mate ad. So this student, you know, see, it's this weird anthem drama of student life and, you know, like the kind of social interactions of students and everything, all leading up to the entrance exam for university and your destiny, and everything's going to happen. And of course, Calorie Mate is always there in all of its various forms throughout. But you have to listen. If you just like search Calorie Mate, their website will come up. If you go to the Japanese site, the first thing that plays is this commercial. It's this 90-second, which is 3 times longer than any commercials they ever do in Japan. Or actually, no, 6 times longer. Sorry, it's usually 15-second commercials. They never do commercials that long. So it's this long narrative, dramatic, just story of these students like leading to this, all of them taking their, you know, final exam together, their entrance exam, I guess, together. But it's very funny. And so, and I saw this strange ad of the, you know, the girl holding calories. So, you know, everything is blue. In contrast, the uniform and the bags are all the same color. And that weird, out of date colored package, you know, is what she's holding. This is the key. It's always there. And so, you know, basically they're saying "Gambare," the you know, do your best, a little bit like in a more serious way, like you must do your best kind of thing. So Calorie Mate is there for you in the trials and tribulations of your student life. So yeah, this ad was that was surprising to see. So I would play the video, but I have no idea. I know Japanese companies are very aggressive about copyright and things online, so it's probably not worth it, but I would recommend, and maybe we can put the link to it in the information for this archived video, but you have to go watch the video because it's the most overblown, ridiculous, dramatic thing for a meal replacement cookie bar I've ever seen. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. All right, so that's the end of the convenience store stuff here. So let's get back to writing some cartoons. Whoa. No time for food. Yes. Yeah, the logical thing would be eat real food that your body could digest, that wasn't a chemically that wasn't a chemically produced and that's the funny thing is that Japan is a very fresh food culture. You know, so many of the restaurants and everything, you're not getting frozen anything ever. And it's one of the cultures where you go grocery shopping every day after work on the way home. So you eat fresh fish, fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, and bread and everything, and rice and everything. So it's very fresh food culture. So this, so you know, those pre-made, pre-packaged, you know, strange. That's a hard sell. You would think that would be a pretty hard sell to Japanese people, but a lot of people will sacrifice a lot for their busy schedule, or this is a funny thing about Japanese culture, or to give the illusion of being incredibly busy. That's actually a thing that's really hard to understand. So the sleeping on at your desk, like putting your head down on your desk and sleeping in the middle of the day, or doing something that shows that you don't have time to eat a normal meal. You have to, eat this terrible balanced food bar because you're so busy. There's not a second to waste, because you are just so hardworking and such an important part of this company or whatever, that you must show how burdened you are by your work and how much you sacrifice. So that's a very interesting cultural difference that so Calorie Mate may actually fit into that somewhere, that kind of, by eating that weird space food, you kind of show people that you are too busy. You're sacrificing your health for the company's sake. All right, so what are we doing here? Okay, so let's just do some running. I'm going to try to refrain from coloring and fixing things because I usually fuss too much. Okay, so I've done too many balanced breakfast jokes, so let's see. Breakfast. Oh boy. Yeah, I didn't have a huge idea. I just liked the contrast of the giant Pop-Tart box and the cereal box, but so hot and cold, or yeah, there's no milk, there's just food on the floor, or food on the table. I guess it's a table, right? Okay, breakfast. So something making fun of breakfast, the most important meal of the day, the most prepackaged, the most artificially colored meal of the day. Oh! That might be something. Seem to be the most artificially colored and flavored meal of the day. That's a little long. Flavored. I'm making it even longer. That seemed to be was. Or direct. Let's see how this fits. So breakfast was the most artificially colored and flavored meal of the day. Okay. Let's see. So breakfast was was the most artificially. Yeah, I don't want to say that backwards. I think breakfast was. How about continued to be? Continued to be the most artificially colored and flavored meal of the day. Yeah, so it was, instead of saying important, I'm saying artificially. Oh, I'm gonna spell check that later. Because I don't know. Artificial, yeah, maybe. Artificially colored. I don't even know if that sounds like some pretty crazy English. So breakfast continued to be the most artificially colored and flavored. Yeah, artificially colored and flavored meal of the day. Is there a funnier way to say that? Continue to be the most artificially colored, flavored artificially flavored and colored. Yeah, I think both ways. There's nothing funnier with or nicer balanced with either of those. There's not a good rhythm to this, though. It's a little bit clunky. So something I try to avoid, because I've only got one line. It's only a gag, and I try to avoid something that you could misread, because you know, if you're expecting, so I'm trying to make the joke, and I'm changing a word that is part of the joke. But if you would read it, you would read it wrong. Like you would read what you the typical, you know, the phrase, or the, you know, the idiom, or the kind of what am I trying to say? If it's a phrase that I'm trying to make a joke by changing a word or countering, I want to make sure that you don't misread it, because then that just makes the whole thing falls apart. If it's just like when a comedian on stage would stutter before a punchline or something, then it totally ruins everything if you can't read it smoothly, because you'll read, you expect something to be there and you'll read it as such, and then you'll miss my little change. So I want to be careful when you do things like that. And a lot of puns and things are like that, so you can actually misread them at first, and that makes it a lot less funny, if puns are ever very funny. Yeah, this strip very early on was very punny, but I gave up on that mostly. It still happens. Breakfast continued to be the most artificially colored and flavored meal of the day. Okay, I think that works. It's funny enough and kind of silly enough in its balance as it being unbalanced. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing when you hear people talking about like what's funny, like what number is funny, like why people say when they're trying to be exaggerate but in a funny way, like, whoa, sorry about that, what they choose. Like 37 is always a funny number for whatever. Someone is overcounting something. A lot of times you hear people say 37, and it's just because it's such a weird, uninteresting number, I guess, or it's like it's odd enough that it just seems like a ridiculous amount of anything. But those sorts of things I always find interesting, and when I'm trying to write some of these jokes, I always come back to that sort of thing. It's like, oh, that sounds funny. I don't know why it sounds funny. It just sounds funny. And like I said, the big test for this, if I make myself laugh, then I just go with it, because that's the only thing I have to measure it by. I'm never going to be able to intellectualize a joke into existence. All right, so winter and mittens and the snow. So the enemy in their midst, the snowball made it inside, although it looks like they could be in the snow themselves. Yeah, maybe I should. This is like a fourth wall. I don't know if I can pull this off, though, but it's kind of a fourth wall thing, because it's always a white background, so why isn't it always snow? Oh, yeah. Well, maybe I can get away with that. Okay. They seemed to be surrounded by the thing they were sworn to protect. These are really long. Against. Yeah, long is not funny, usually. The longer my ideas are, the less funny they get. And then let's just say they seem to be, I keep doing this, they were surrounded by the thing that they were sworn to protect against. Ugh. Yeah, that's a little clumsy. But my little idea here, I'll put this on another layer to see if anybody catches this, is I will put eyes. Where would they go? Maybe here. On the snow. There we go. So now the snow is a is also a character. The background is also a character. Okay, anyhow. Okay. They were surrounded by the thing. What am I doing here? I want to get this across without too much damage. Now, why am I trying so hard? I need to I need to just let my cousin write my jokes. Why am I not? See, that's the thing. And that's the thing that always happens too when when these jokes are posted on Go Comics. There's a comment section, and people always write funnier jokes in the comment section than I wrote on the original cartoon. Nice. Very good. Where's the... Oh my gosh. I've never seen the horrifying emojis of Twitch. Yikes. Okay. That was a bad idea. Weird. Okay. All right. Well, it's fun to have family on the stream. And am I spelling anything correctly here? Okay. Oh, I like the fallen comrades thing a lot. Oh shoot, I like that a lot. Now I'm torn. Yeah, I hate that. That's always the worst, because, and it's like that, I think, with any kind of, coming up with any kind of creative thing. Always somebody else's idea has an originality, or it has a viewpoint that you can't get at, so it feels like, oh, that's it, or that's what it should be. And it has a funny thing, because I remember when I was almost finished with art school and animation, the first year students that were coming in that were doing animation, their stuff looked brilliant, their stuff looked so amazing, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have this fresh, interesting, point of view, or this style, or making things move in this particular way? And you just always have that, because if you get too close and you're too deep into something and trying to make it work and trying to do it, it doesn't feel fresh. It feels laborious and laborious. And so yeah, when you see somebody come at something more effortlessly or from a different viewpoint, it makes you yeah. But it's good. I mean, if you can kind of include that, I think it can help you find a new point of view, or kind of keep your approach to things fresh. But because there isn't really, better and creative stuff. I mean, there's stuff, especially funny stuff, there's stuff that works better, that is more funny. But yeah, so what are we doing here? Yeah, I'm not sharing any royalties with anybody contributing jokes in the stream. Yeah, that's funny. But I think that's the fun part of, especially newer styles of cartooning. I think the more traditional, older newspaper comics and strips and things, you don't, interfere with, because they're just their own certain way. But especially gag cartoons, and that's this cartoon, of course, was inspired by like the New Yorker style magazine cartoons, and I really like that. You just get one shot, you get one chance to kind of make something funny, and the picture like, first you look at the image, the cartoon, you read the text, and then you go back to the cartoon, and in that, just like in between those panels, like something happens, there is a transition, there is a reveal, so you can kind of play with people looking at the picture. Okay, I see what this is, what are you saying? Oh, I see. And you go back. So that's a little bit of the reveal. So I like that. I always like that thing that gag cartoons did, and do it differently from political cartoons. Political cartoons, sometimes they have a nice back and forth, but usually they're so heavy-handed, because they go, here's a recognizable politician, here's the wall, here's the, just like, ugh, yeah. And they write, this is the, the tax bill, or this is the, the people's right to privacy will be written on the side of a, an animal or something. So yeah, a lot of that is so heavy-handed that it's, I mean, if you're good at it, I think it's very effective. But especially, yeah, lighter, funnier stuff, I think is so much more enjoyable and better for the world. But anyhow, let's see here. So what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing here? Yeah, I like the fallen comrades, but I definitely want to play with that white background. I don't think I've ever made reference to that ever, and that's something that people have talked to me about, like when I do shows and stuff, and people are reading the cartoons, and they'll ask me about that. Why is this? Well, why is there no background? What do you never kind of reference a context? And that's always just been the style of this ever since the first time I drew it. And I think because the original drawings were just marker drawings on white paper, it's just like I don't want to do anything more with this. I just want to put them in this environment, so they're casting a shadow. They exist here, but you don't have any other information. And as long as I kept it all recognizable domestic items, the context is not as important, or it is something that you can play with, because are they on the floor, are they on a table, are they outside, so that sort of thing. But anyhow, yeah, it should. So the thing I like about the Fallen Comrades is the bleakness and kind of the war atmosphere of that, the war tone of that. So I think I should go bleaker and more stark and horrible with what they're dealing with here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is actually worth saving. It's not. It's a little too clumsy. Oh, around them. The bleak. Now I'm getting. I'm going to go super wordy on this. Okay, so bleak is good if it's trying to be funny with the word bleak. I think bleak white. Where am I going here? Yeah, I want to put them in snow. Yeah, maybe actually I should have just drawn some. Oh, you can't see that. I should have just drawn some indentations. Let me. See, now I'm drawing. I should only be writing, and now I'm drawing again. But I was thinking something, like this, like just divots in the snow. Yeah, that might actually do what I want to do a little bit better. To give it more context, let's see if I can get away with this. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Oh, that one is out of bounds. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now they're definitely on snow. I've interfered with that surface enough, and then the snowball makes a little bit more sense. Okay, and then that's pretty bleak too, pretty dark too. The feel hot, when you start to freeze to death, like hypothermia, you start to feel hot, so you're shedding. You think you should take off your warm clothes. Oh, that might be a little too dark. Let's see here. See, when I can't write, I just keep drawing. I shouldn't be doing this. Always I go back. That's my procrastination. Fix the cartoon instead of actually writing a cartoon. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, this is the exciting part when I just sit and stare at the screen. All right. That Calorie Mate did nothing for me. Provided no elevated blood sugar, and my keyboard is broken, I think. Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Oh no. These stupid little plastic legs. I break these things off of keyboards all the time. Yeah, now it has to lay flat. Great. Okay, so it spent enough time. Well, I want to go darker than that, so spending time in the snow. Yeah, I like their connection for the, let me check here. Okay. Yeah, their connection as winter wear. The snow. So being out in the snow, being, yeah, surrounded by something they couldn't do anything about. Yeah, but being discarded is pretty dark because if somebody's taking these things off, that's a pretty near end of life kind of thing. Oh boy. Let's see. Oh, come on. I keep doing this. There we go. Yeah, maybe here too. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Yeah, being discarded in the snow was never a good sign. Okay, I just have to, whoa, sorry, there we go. Just commit to something here. Let's see. So losing this much winter wear in the same place was never a good sign. They were witness to bleak. Let's see. There we go. Let me see. Among all the bleak, the white whiteness, they had little hope of ever being worn again. It's a little longer than I wanted. Among all, no. Whiteness. In the midst, amidst, what am I trying to say? Amidst, not admidst, amidst. All the bleak whiteness, they had little hope of ever being worn again. That's just dark. I guess it's not really playing with anything. They'd found a new home in the very thing they had once sworn to resist. What's this doing? So amidst all the bleak whiteness, they had little hope of ever being worn again. All this, amidst all this bleak whiteness, they had little hope of ever being worn again. Yeah, that's the bleakness. It doesn't have any of that tone, the kind of war time tone. Let's see here. Oh, so I can't believe that's not on camera, is it? No, it's not. Wow, it's just off camera. Okay, amidst all this bleak whiteness, they had little hope of ever being worn again. Ugh. I guess that's just dark. It's not so funny. Sometimes it's just dark. Sometimes it's not funny. Yes, sometimes it is not funny. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I don't think being surrounded by the snow or the... Yeah, I'm not making a heck of a lot of reference to the snow being there, but yeah, it is a character, I guess, in this one. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with this. Of course, I'm gonna check my grammar and everything, so I may have to reword it a little bit. Is it not saving? There we go. Okay, so we have breakfast continued to be the most artificially colored and flavored meal of the day. And amidst all this bleak whiteness, they had little hope of ever being worn again. This is a long one. Oh, yeah. Wow, almost 2 hours. Especially long one. Because I had so much to say about Calorie Mate. Okay, so that's going to do it for this week. So thank you very much for joining me. And I hope that I was more entertaining than Jean-Luc Picard. And I will be here again next week and probably back to the regular time, so the Sunday night time, because that's Monday morning here. So I think that's working best as far as my schedule this week. I just got a little shifted around and wanted to avoid the Super Bowl anyhow. But even though I guess I would be doing this after it was over because I finishes pretty early. Okay, so again, thank you so much, and big thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate your support and making this possible. So if you would like to support this cartoon and see more of it and get some signed books, original art, all that kind of good stuff, patreon.com/abusecartoons. And of course the website is abusecartoons.com, and follow the cartoon on Twitter at, you guessed it, Abuse Cartoons. And of course there's a Facebook page, and someday an Instagram. I don't know if that's going to happen, but Yes, but abuse cartoons just about everywhere, and the YouTube channel where this will be archived, and also the Twitch channel where you can find these. So both places allow you to watch the live stream and get notifications and interact during the course of those things, like my sweet cousin did. Thank you so much for being here, and I hate you for being a better writer than I am, so I maybe won't talk to you for a few weeks, but I'm sure I'll get over it. So thanks again for joining me, and I will see you next week. And don't forget your Calorie Mate. And if anybody knows if this is an actual thing outside of Japan, I'm very curious, because I'm haunted by how familiar that package is, and I hadn't been to Japan before. So thanks again. Goodbye.